Hello, and welcome to another Squad Games video. Today, we're going to be looking over the Sanctifiers. Firstly, I want to thank Games Workshop for sending us an advanced copy to check out this team. And we're also going to be looking at some of the models. They're still being painted, and I hope to have them painted by the time that we do a live battle report, which should be dropping on Saturday. If you're watching this video a little later, you'll be able to find that battle report, not live, also on our YouTube. So today, as you can tell, we don't have Giacomo. That is because I am re-recording this video because I did not have audio. So it is what it is. Today, I want to start off with what the Sanctifiers do. They have two main abilities, one of which is called Sermon. Sermon, right here, allows the Confessor or whoever you dictate your leader to be the ability to give out a damage reduction of 1. That is pretty strong, and it definitely makes this horde type team much tankier than you would assume. This ability is typically 3 inches from anyone who's not the preacher, and it's 6 inches from the preacher. The next thing that they have is something called Blaze. Blaze is probably one of is an amazing ability. This ability allows them to do a little bit more damage after they've attacked with one of their flame weapons. And trust me, they have a lot of flame weapons. So it's either that or the enemy has to take a negative APL modifier. So this team has a lot of little tricks and has a lot of auras that your opponent needs to be aware of. We're going to move on to what exactly can your team take as a Sanctifier. Hopefully you're watching this video because you're interested in them, or you're just a big fan of the Squad Games community. And if you're a big fan of the Squad Games community, I highly suggest that you check out the rest of our YouTube channel or our Patreon. So, Sanctifiers, right here, you're allowed to take a Confessor, you're allowed to take 1 Cherub, and then you're allowed to take 9 Sanctifier Operatives, 2 of which are allowed to be Missionaries. And those Missionaries are specifically told here. I decided to go with the Ministorum Flamer and the Brazier of Holy Fire, which I'll get into a little bit later. And the other missionary, I went with the Melt-A-Gun, a Chainsword, and a Holy Relic. Those are really the only things that you can really choose. There is the Preachers, which are their Warrior Operatives. You're allowed to take 4 of those if you decide to drop a couple other Operatives. I do think that this team is relatively high in skill cap, and also is going to be hard to run efficiently. But if you're playing them in Into the Dark with all of their flamers and the ability of Blaze, which happens on criticals, this team is going to be a nightmare to face and very fun to play. So you're not allowed to take more than 1 of any operative outside of the Preacher and the 2 missionaries. Now we're going to go over strategy ploys. First up, we have Fervent Brawl. Fervent Brawl allows models to get ceaseless as long as they're within the sermon area. Again, that's within 6 of your leader or 3 of your orator if your leader, the confessor, is dead. This is a very strong ability. Anytime you get a reroll dice, it's generally makes the team a lot more reliable. The Emperor Protects is up next. This allows you to re-roll all of your dice, your defense dice results of 1. So it's essentially balanced for defense. The Emperor Protects is one of my favorites just because of the name. Next up is Rally the Flock. This ability is pretty good at the beginning of a round, not the first round. You're allowed to perform a free dash or fallback action as long as you're in sermon range. So that is pretty good. You're not allowed to move more than 3 inches, but that, free movement is still always good in a game of Kill Team. This team, I think, has way more maneuverability than somebody might think. The final strategic ploy is Zealous Persecution. If a model charges, they get lethal 5. It's pretty strong, It's going to be hard to decide what you want to spend your CP on for this specific team. Up next, we have Firefight Ploys. Unwavering Devotion is just get down, Mr. President, for different operatives on the team. You have this specifically happens for Orators or the Miraculous, So if anyone is the leader or the miraculous, which are essentially the two leaders of the team, you're allowed to have a model jump in front of them and take their damage. This is only available within 3 inches of that operative, and it happens in melee and for shooting. I think this is going to be a very strong ploy to make sure that you keep those two key units, probably the two best units in the entire team, alive. Redeemed through fire is one of my favorite ploys for the team. I think if I'm playing this team, this is the one I'm probably going to be spending the most amount of CP on. This allows when an operative is incapacitated to give out free blaze tokens to any enemy operative within 2 inches of it. Now, that means that you can be really aggressive with this team, get into melee, and when they die, you can guarantee 1 to 3 damage to each visible model within 2 inches of them. Ardent Eradication. This ploy is also very good. This pairs really well with a lot of the synergies with the team. When your leader charges forward, or any of your other operatives are in 3-inch range of your orator or your confessor, they get to reroll all of their attack dice when you pop this ploy. So if you really need something to die, or you're really scared that you're hitting on 4s isn't going to be good enough, this is a great thing to pop. And I think it's going to be a very strong offensive attack ploy to use in games. Rosarius, if that's how you say it, is probably the best in the entire kit of them. I know that I said that earlier about the other ploy, the Blaze ploy, but this does change the math nearly on any fight. This is just a scratch. And a human team has it. And that's really good. So essentially, you get to ignore a normal damage that's inflicted on one of your operatives. So whenever an opponent is going to be charging you to fight you, a lot of the times you're going to have to think, am I going to be able to kill this model? And if I do kill this model, I'm going to be taking possibly one extra amount of damage, and then they could possibly also pop Blaze, which is going to do another D3, 1d3 damage to an operative. So just having this ploy really changes the math. It really changes how the team functions. And even though the team already has a damage reduction, it has another damage reduction right here. So it just makes stereotypical math for fighting much harder to predict while playing the team. This is going to make the team a lot tankier than people would think, even though most of the units in this team has between 7, 8, or 10 wounds. Now we're going to move on to the operatives, and I'll put them on here so you can see them. And then I will move on to faction equipment here at the end. We're going to be following along essentially with the book's order. First up, we have the Confessor. The Confessor has 2 APL, has a 6-inch move, 5 up save, and 10 wounds. The Sanctifier Confessor has multiple abilities. To me, this is one of the best models in the entire game. Yes, I am currently painting these guys, so be kind. They're getting done. This operative has 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save, and 10 wounds. He has 2 abilities: Condemning Declamation, which allows models that are visible to and within 6 of him, he gets to roll a d6 once per game. Well, if the result is higher than the operative's APL stat, that operative cannot perform that action or counteraction. And that APL is not refunded. You can only use this rule once per game, once it goes off. So this operative is really strong already because he has, if he charges somebody and he wants to fight somebody, he can just stop somebody's fight action. And then that person literally can't fight, and the APL has been used. Let's go over his item as well. He has a Mace of Censure, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 5/5 brutal shock. This is a devastating weapon. And he has something called, Lead the Procession. This, you can pause the video and read it, or I'm sure other people have talked about this. I think this is one of the strongest abilities so far in the game. When this operative wants to perform a charge, a fallback, or a reposition action, models that are in sermon range, usually 6 inches of this model, can also perform a free charge, fallback, or reposition action. I think this is a very strong ability just because they all get to do it for free. It doesn't really indicate that it's not GA, so everyone should be able to do it immediately. Um, Essentially allowing turn one activations for a 20-inch Melta shots, and multiple other shenanigans. This operative is very strong, and it makes sense why they stopped um, people from using Rally the Flock on Turning Point 1 when this model can already give a lot of models extra moves already. It's a very strong action. I think it's very good, and in my opinion, it is one of the best in all of Kill Team. Next up, we have the Sanctifier Cherub. Sanctifier Cherub is a pretty cool model. I'm going to paint it with black wings because why not? You know, I've been inspired from Blood Angels in the past. This model has a 7-inch move. It has fly, 2 APL, save is 5 up and has 5 wounds. This operative only counts as 1 APL while it's on objectives. And it also has a support ability, giving 1 APL for basically spending an AP to give somebody else 1 APL. He can't do it to the Confessor, Death Cult Assassin, Miraculous, or whoever your Orator is later on in the game, if your Confessor does end up dying. And yeah, it's relatively good. As you can see, on the front of the card, he has the Incentivizer, which is his little cattle prod that is attached to the belly button. He has 3 attacks, hitting on 5s, 1/3 damage, and has shock. It is a cherub, and its APL, again, counts 1 lower. That is something you definitely want to remember when contesting or when controlling objectives. And also has super conceal. So it's a really strong model, a really hard model to remove, pretty quick, and can kind of just give out plus APL to whoever he wants. Next up, we have the Sanctifier Death Cult Assassin. 3 APL, 6-inch move, 5 up save, 8 wounds. And the fact that this guy has 3 APL is pretty cool. You know, the model I think is really awesome. I'm a big fan of it, especially in person. The model is really nice, really good quality. I was a little hesitant when I saw some of the pictures, but I am very happy with the sculpt, the detail, and I'm liking how this guy's turning out. But back to the model, he has throwing knives, which is a ranged attack. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 2 5 damage, range 6, and silent. It's always good to be able to have a model that can charge somebody or throw a weapon on conceal or something like that. He's basically like a 6-inch range sniper, and the model also has a ritual blades, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 4 6 damage. Now you can spend the 1 CP ploy to give him lethal 5 and turning him into a power weapon fiend. He also has the ability to spend 1 AP to flip to conceal or to change this operative's order, which is, you know, relatively good. You could throw a silent blade if you wanted to and then flip to engage and then charge. I don't know why you would do it in that order, but you could. Typically, you're going to charge somebody, kill them in melee, and then you're going to flip to conceal while in cover behind heavy cover. Bladed stance. Whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating, you can resolve 1 of your successes before the normal order of attacks. So if you are striking first or you're inside of a stronghold bastion, you can actually parry, and then you could strike again. And if you are charging, same activation. If you are being charged and you're not in a stronghold, you get to parry out a model's damage first, which is always pretty good and can change math, especially when you have just a scratch. Essentially you're getting rid of 2 people's dice before anything happens. Really strong, because those have to be used only to block rather than to actually strike. Next up, we have the Drill Abbot. He has a great hammer and has a power fist. It's a gauntleted hand holding it. Really strong. He has a really good melee profile, actually. He is a 2 APL, 6-inch range move, 5 up saves, and 7 wounds. This model has a null skull, so nothing is allowed to get an extra APL while within 6. Though if you already have additional APL and you move within his range, you get to finish your action. You don't just stop at his range. This operative, I like him a lot. I think he's really strong, and especially for charging in with the Confessor. So also, this operative gets to make any model that's within 6 ignore changes to your operative's stats from being changed. So, if somebody gives you -1 or to hit or anything like this, you just get to ignore within 6 inches of him. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty strong. It's pretty good. The fact that his weapon's also brutal and shock. This is what all melee. This is like the stereotypical melee profile, but he has extra rules on top. Very strong, very good model, and I think is going to be very useful. Next up, we have the Miraculist. This model is cracked. I think this model's very good. Very. I mean, I even love the pose, right? I was really hoping this model would be really cool, and she absolutely is. This model has 2 APL, 6-inch move, 4 up save, and has 7 wounds. Holy Light is one of the ranged attacks that this operative has. It's basically a Melta. It has 4 attacks, but it hits on 2s. So it's 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 4 damage, 3 damage, but it does have devastating 3. So it's like a baby Melta with a longer range. You can only use it once. It has piercing 1, saturate, and blaze. Very, very strong gun here. And it's hitting on 2s, Math is good, especially if you're within range of having ceaseless. You're basically going to hit all 4 times. Your opponent's going to be taking minimum 8 damage because of P1. So really strong gun. This model just wrecks elves and wrecks anything with 8 or less wounds. But she can also really destroy Space Marines. Wreath and Fire is a great ability if you want to charge a group of models. It has 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 4 damage, blast 1, limited 1, wreathed, and blade. What wreathed means is it's a blast attack that targets her, but she doesn't roll damage against herself. She rolls against damage all secondary targets around her. So that means that she's going to hit, if you can charge a clump of 3 models, you get 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 4 damage against 3 models, all in melee. Absolutely disgusting. And if you don't kill one of them, then she's safe in melee. She has a couple melee attacks herself. And that is limited once, so she can only use it once per game. She also has Burning Hands, which is 1 attack, hitting on 2s, 7-8 damage. That's going to kill all of my Death Corps. It's going to kill, a lot of models. It's also going to be able to finish off a lot of them, especially if somebody just charges in. This is definitely an attack that you want to be charging with this model. This is like a last case resort, because if you only hit once, they can just parry you out and you're just going to, no damage is going to be done. Yeah, so you had this attack has brutal, has limited 1, and has blaze. So since this model has a lot of blaze attacks, when she dies or gets incapacitated, she can also pass out that blaze token from the Firefight Ploy. She also has fists, which are awful. She does have nails going through her palms, so I could assume, seeing that her fists hurt when she's fighting. Her other attacks on the back of the card, I've already explained Wreath, and then we have Miracle. When this operative actually dies, they don't. You only fall back 1 inch. So you get to fall back or perform a free dash or fallback action. So you can move out, use your Melta, and then if somebody shoots her back, she can then do a free dash behind heavy cover, so she can no longer be seen. If she dies in melee, she gets a free fallback action, allowing your other operatives to then shoot the model that charged her. And then if she dies and you only move back 2 inches, if she dies from another shot, then you can pass out your blaze tokens. Very strong model. She's going to be I feel like a lot of people are going to throw away too easily. This is kind of like if we were playing chess, she's your queen or maybe your king model, and the confessor is one of the others. Now we're going to talk about the missionaries. Missionaries, while building them, is very interesting. They have two bodies, and you can really only choose very specific options with these guys. And it's really laid out pretty clear in the rules. I decided to go with the Melta because why wouldn't I want a Melta that possibly has severe? And then I went with double flamers because the Holy Brazier looks way too cool in order not to bring it. So I took a double flamer, which might not be great, and I took a Meltagun with a chainsword and a relic. So the Brazier of Holy Fire is really good. Its ranged profile is 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 4 damage, as ranged 4, saturate, torrent 1, and blaze. Now, it's worse than the normal flamer. So it could be good to give like a Meltagunner, but I'd rather have the Meltagunner with a relic. We'll go over relic in a second. The rest of the guns are rather normal, but the Brazier of Holy Fire does have a melee profile. That is 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 4 damage, shock, and blaze. The fact that one of these models definitely has blaze on every weapon, so if he dies, they can just pass out more blaze tokens, is pretty good. So, anytime that you can get crits on these guys is amazing. Holy Relic. There is something special about these guys. They have 8 wounds, which is rather important. Holy Relic, which is what I gave the Melta. Holy Relic, if this operative has a Holy Relic, gosh, how many times did I say that right there? Goodness gracious. It's always benefiting from Sermon. So the Meltagunner always has DR1, right? Which is pretty good. And then both operatives have spread the word of the God Emperor. Whenever this operative is more than 6 inches away from other friendly operatives, its weapons have the severe special rule. So essentially, the double flamer model, no matter what attack he does, he's giving out a blaze token as long as he's outside of 6 of any other operatives. The Holy Relic sermon-loving Meltagunner also is giving out devastating 4 to whoever he wants. There's going to be a lot of comboing with these guys, especially if you're trying to keep them alive or resurrect them for another last stand with your banner bearer later on in the game. But these are both really strong counterpunch models and really strong offensive models. As a matter of fact, I do believe that you can get a 20-inch turn 1 Meltagun off against any Marine player that you would want, which is a little crazy to even think about. So you can get a dash, you can move with your Confessor, get a free move up, and then move again. If you give that model +1 APL, then you can move and dash and then get another shot. You could also do it to a clump of model. It's going to be very telegraphed, but still really strong. Both models. Very excited to play with these models and how they develop in the competitive scene. The Sanctifier Persecutor is also a very cool model. They have a hand flamer, so they have blaze, and they also have the Eviscerator, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 5/6 brutal. This model, when a model dies because of fanatical retribution, you're allowed to strike with 1 more success. If you use your just to scratch with this model, you can guarantee, even if somebody does 7 damage with a crit, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to do 10 damage to a model, maybe 11, maybe 12, or maybe 15, right? This model's pretty strong, especially if you get lethal 5. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's really strong. Whenever this operative performs the fight action as well, if neither operative die, this operative gets to fight for free again. So this model is looking to jump in, kill somebody, maybe counteract, use the hand flamer, or if you throw this model up, you can pair him really well with your banner bearer, so that when this model dies, if they get shot off the board, at least then you can use your flame attack for 1 APL to then kill back a model or something like that. The reason why this team is going to be relatively difficult to pilot is because there are so many range restrictions and so many different things, but they have enough mobility that they can easily make it up. So it's going to take a lot of practice to get good with these guys, but this Persecutor, pretty. Preacher, I haven't made a model for yet. This is a 2-box kill team. So they have a hand flamer, a chainsword, and defend the faith. If you're on an objective, or if you're contesting an objective, which just means you have to be on it because it's two separate things you can always contest, even if you own the objective. You're benefiting from sermon. So these models can be away from your sermon, still getting the damage reduction and holding down your back objective. Your Reliquant is your banner bearer. Essentially, this model gets only in death for those guard players out there or Brood Brother players. If a model dies within 6, you're allowed to use that model, I believe it is once per turning point, to then do a 1 AP action. So it could be shooting, or it could be tapping a point, it could be moving somewhere, whatever it may be. Also, with its icon, this ability allows all models within 6 inches of it to also get essentially +1 APL for controlling objectives. So if you give the Death Cult Assassin would have essentially 4 APL for controlling objectives. So that's really good for your center objective. You can charge your model onto it. Death Cult Assassin, maybe you don't want to kill him so he doesn't get, thrown off the board right away. And even if they have 2 models, now you're contesting and neither person really truly owns the objective. So, and then heaven forbid you move another model on it, and then you have 7 objectives or 7 models, or you would have 7 APL, which outranks Space Marines. You could have 2 Space Marines on objective. You could have a Death Cult Assassin and somebody else, and you would have more APL than they would. So rather impressive. Or heaven forbid you give another model an extra +1 APL. So then you could have 8 APL on it. Pretty strong. The Sanctifier Salvationist has, 7 wounds, just like every other model on this, or a lot of the other models on this team. This model also has the Soul Stave, which is 3 attacks, hitting on 5s, 2/3 damage. Also has the Med Kit, so you can heal models with this model. This is essentially your healer, 2d3 damage for 1 APL. And any model that's more than 6 inches from any Sanctifier operative worsens the P1 of any weapon by 1. So if they're outside of 6 and they're shooting like a plasma that has P1 or something like that, no longer has P1. A lot of overlapping buffs from each individual model here. I think this model is going to be incredible to support, incredible to hold objectives while maintaining control of your board. Is definitely a model that you don't want to die. Also because it is one of the prettiest models in the entirety of the release, in my opinion. The Conflagrator is a really good model to pair with your Confessor as your Confessor's moving up the board, putting this model into a really nice charge range, not charge range, but an ability where this model can shoot 2 flame attacks at once. This model has 2 flamers, and he can either use it focused or Twin Torrent. You can use Twin Torrent and attack 2 different models within 6. That is valid. And that's pretty good. The fact that this one model gets to separate 2 attacks, shoot 2 different models in the same round, it's pretty strong. It's essentially almost like shooting twice. Similar, but not the same. Or you can make it Torrent 2, and if there's a group of models somewhere, you can just blast all of them. They both have Blaze, so this model is really good. It's also really good for the, what is that model's name? The Reliquant to resurrect, for 1 AP action. Imagine shooting 2 shots for 1 APL. That is very doable with this model. You also have a Sanctification Rack, which allows them to, if you bring that piece of equipment, which I suggest, I'll go over in a second, this model can do that for free. So if you give this model +1 APL, you can Sanctification Orb, or throw it, and then he can do 2 of those. So this model's pretty good. The fact that he also pairs with something in your, or she pairs with something outside of, in equipment is relatively unique and exciting for this specific model. Faction equipment now, we have Imperial Cult Symbols. Now, this allows you once per turning point to turn a critical into a normal. So once you hit something, you get to you get to just change something into a normal hit. So I think it's relatively good. It doesn't affect things like devastating wounds or piercing crits. Once an attack is resolved, that piercing thing stays on top of the stack if you're a Magic the Gathering player and goes through. The remaining amount of damage, though, is another thing. So this, on top of your sermon damage reduction, can essentially reduce a piercing damage or a critical damage by 2 points. So Space Marines that are critical hitting on 4s now do 2 damage with this. Exciting. Pretty good. We have Ecclesiarchy Texts up next. This is a good way to get at minimum, probably minimum, +1 CP. This allows you to roll 2d6 in the strategic, before the strategic phase. So when you are doing your sermon, you have to select an orator, right? Which is always going to be your confessor if your confessor is alive. And you do that during the strategic gambit phase. This happens before that phase. So this will not happen on turning point 1, but you would roll 2 dice. And as long as it's underneath the amount of wounds that your orator has left, you get +1 CP. So if your confessor is alive, full wounds on turning point 2, he is your orator. You roll 2 dice, and as long as it's underneath 10, you get +1 CP. If he still has 10 wounds at the beginning of turning point 3, you get another CP. There's a very easy way to probably get 2 CP in a game, maybe 4 if you're steamrolling your opponent. Which, why not have more CP then? Next up, we have Purity Seals. Purity Seals, I think, function the same as Space Marines. If you fail 2 dice, you get to retain 1 as normal. This is really good if you're not expecting you to have a lot of ceaseless shots, which this team has a bunch of, or you're not within sermon range. It's great for your Melta, if your Melta is going out there. But if you give him the Holy Relic, he already has sermon. And if you didn't pay for the ploy, that's besides the point. This can guarantee, anything that guarantees you an extra hit is always a good idea. This is a very strong thing, but I could see people wanting to drop this for barricades or something like that. There's already a lot of innate redundant re-rolls on this team that make them already pretty balanced. But if you're really worried that somebody has a 3-up saved, you really got to make sure you get in there. This is a great tool to bring to a team that you really need to make sure when you shoot it, it has to die. Last up, we have Sanctification Orb. This allows you to roll, to basically throw a grenade, but it's not a grenade, once per turning point. Models outside of the Cherub, the Death Cult Assassin, and the Miraculous can perform a grenade action, essentially. There's a lot of text here. Let me break it down for you. A model outside of the ones I stated previously gets to throw an orb. Okay. Any model that within 1 inch of your target gets doused. And then you roll a D6, and on a 3-up, they count as doused. Any model that then shoots any of those models that have the doused token have Seek. So all of your blaze weapons now have Seek. So yes, the Miraculous with her Melta has Seek within 8 inches. All of your Flamers have full Seek within 6 inches. But you do have to get close enough to just throw it, right? I believe it is a 6-inch throw, and they just have to be visible. So if you really have like some Felgor that's hiding behind something, you really got to get in there and kill that model or kill multiple models. This is the thing to do it. Since your Conflagrator can do it more, so you can use this with 1 model, and then if you give your Conflagrator, here's a crazy thing. give your conflagrator, whatever this guy is, with the two pistols, right? That guy, you're gonna give him +1 APL, move up within 6. He's gonna for one AP, throw a doused thing on a 3-up. It has to be 3-up, so there's still some risk involved. You could hit 2 models, and then you could shoot them both, even if they have conceal and in heavy cover. This is a very good piece of equipment, and if you're playing on Volcus, I don't see why you wouldn't take it. I just don't. It's really, really good. Into the Dark, I could see dropping it. This team doesn't have a lot of far-ranged abilities, and if you can get within 6, you might as well. If they take a lot of barricades, maybe this is worth taking. Or if you think they're going to take a lot of barricades, Sanctification Orb, I just call it like holy oil. That's what I would have called it. Is really good. It's really, really strong. So my overall thoughts about the Sanctifiers are this team is going to have tons and tons of abilities to do great things. I think this team is going to be absolutely cooking with holy oil. Okay, if there's a thing that's actually, I'd probably cook with it too. It's probably healthier than canola oil, or but that's besides the point. This team has a lot of flames. It is the team that I have always essentially dreamed of. A little bit about the hobbying on these guys. These guys went together way easier and faster than the Goremongers. There is less mold lines on these models. I put all the models together within 90 minutes, cleaned all the mold lines. Great. The Goremongers took about 3 hours, even though there's only 8 models. They had a lot more bits and pieces to them, though these models are essentially half the size of a lot of the Goremongers, or 3/4 the size. These guys look really, really good in person. I was skeptical when I saw them like on Warhammer Community when they're starting to get debuted, but in the end, like when you pick up these guys, like their details are just absurd. So, very strong team, very fun looking team, good hobby team, especially if you like to paint clothing and fire. I can't wait to see what people do with display bases for these guys, if they put them in churches or if they're burning down heretics' homes. Like, who knows what these guys are going to do? Very exciting to see what these guys do in the not too distant future of Kill Team. And let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going to give a shout out to G and shout out to Alexander Popov, as we always do here on Squad Games. I'm going to give a shout out to you for making it to the end of the video. Yeah, so I think that's going to be it from us. If you want to check out Goremongers, we do have a video of that also on this channel. It's a little bit different. Giacomo's here, and I am reading him the rules for the very first time, and it blows his mind, to say the least. We also have a battle report that we're going to be doing today. Like I said at the beginning of the video, or if you are watching this video not on Saturday, this is not May, March 22nd. If you're not watching it on March 22nd, you can find this on March 23rd on our YouTube channel. The battle report should be fun. Giacomo and I will also be answering any questions that you guys have, hobby questions, painting questions, and we're going to play a game, and we're going to try to get all of the rules right, though I think that we still might mess up a few of these rules specifically for these teams, just because these might be the most complicated teams that have come out thus far. I think that these teams are definitely going to take a while to master and to be really good with. There might be a couple savants out there that are just like, yeah, I just look at stuff and I memorize it. I'm not that guy. I got to read it like 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, and then I start to comprehend. And I'm like, oh, he can shoot twice. I'm that kind of guy. So please leave a comment. Please leave a like and subscribe if you guys enjoy this content. If you don't, let us know. Until next time.